Right, hi everyone, welcome to the poetry lesson today. A bit different today because we're going to look at reading poetry. So, to learn how to read poetry. So, I've got a little poem up in the corner here. A poem is a little path that leads you through the trees. It takes you to the cliffs and shores, to anywhere you please. Follow it and trust your way with mind and heart as one. And when the journey's over, you'll find you've just begun. Another one over here in the corner is open a book. So open a book and you will find people and places of every kind. Open a book and you can be anything you want to be. Open a book and you can share wondrous words you find in there. Open a book and I will too. You read to me and I'll read to you. So poetry isn't just about writing the poem, it is about reading it. So you need one skill for writing poetry, but another skill for reading it. So we need to familiarise yourself with the poem. So you need to read the poem through a few times to familiarise yourself with the poem. Because I don't ever just read a poem once, I read it a few times to find out, well, what's it actually about? How do I need to read it? What expression do I need to use? So the tone in your voice is also important depending on the poem that you're reading. So we need to speak clearly. Obviously poems come in lines, but pausing at the end of every line will create a choppy effect and interrupt the poem. So we need to pause only where there is punctuation, just as you would when you're reading a book. So today I'm going to read some poems to you. The first poem will show how rhythm is needed when reading some poems. Now, I hope I do this okay. It's quite fast. It is a poem by Robert Louis Stevenson. It's a really old poem, and it is a poem, it's saying it's from a railway carriage. But if you look at the picture of the train, the railway carriage that he's talking about is when they had steam trains. So when we had steam trains, they kind of had a personality of their own, I think, a character, but really bad for the environment because they needed lots of coal to make them go. But they had a kind of a real kind of sense of being on a train, if you see what I mean. I'm going to try and read this poem to you because it shows rhythm, and I'll show you a bit afterwards that you can do it slightly different, but the rhythm of some poems really have set rhythm. So see if you can identify what you should be, because it says from a railway carriage. So here we go. Faster than fairies, faster than witches, bridges and houses, hedges and ditches, and charging along like troops in a battle, all through the meadows, the horses and cattle, all of the sights of the hill and the plain, fly as thick as driving rain, and ever again in the wink of an eye, painted stations whistle by. Here is a child who clambers and scrambles, all by himself and gathering brambles. Here is a tramp who stands and gazes, and here is the green for stringing the daisies. Here is a cart run away in the road, lumping along with man and load. And here is a mill, and there is a river, each a glimpse and gone forever. Take a breath. Right, that is to give you the effect that the rhyme that you're on a train and it's chundering along. A few years ago with a class, I actually changed it. We did a food train, and it was quite funny because we used foods, but we said it in the same rhyme. Like we started our train with sausages, 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 chicken and chips, chicken and chips, chicken and chips, chicken and chips, peas. You can use food. You can use any food you like. It's keeping that rhythm. And this poem is really good as a sort of a rhythmic poem. So you can change it to food or anything else if you want. You can have a go if you want. Anyway, it's very old, but I've always really liked that poem myself. Moving on to more modern poems. This poem is called The Cats Protection League. It is by someone called Roger McGough. He does write some funny poems. Now, I like funny poems to rhyme. It depends. I always think if they don't rhyme, they don't sound that funny. Now, this one is about the Cats Protection League. Now, you have to know a bit about the Mafia. The Mafia is more of an American thing, but really the Mafia were gangsters. And there were gangsters in America, and they would go into a shop and say, do you want protection? And they'd say, well, no thanks, we're fine, no one's bothering us. And they would wreck their place, or their joint, as they called them in America. But then they'd say, well, you pay us, if you pay us a certain amount every month, then we'll look after your place, and no one else will ask you if you want protection, because we'll come and sort them out. So pay us and we'll make sure you're protected from the others. So there's lots of gangs fighting to cause protection. So that was basically the Mafia, because the next couple of poems I'm going to read, it's where Roger McGough's actually taken the cats and kind of turned them into the Mafia Cats, basically. So this one's called the Cats Protection League, and for short it's called the CPL. So here we go. Midnight, a knock at the door. Open it, better had. 3 heavy cats, mean and bad. They offer protection. I ask, what for? The boss cat snarls, you know the score. Listen, man, and listen good. If you want to stay in the neighbourhood, pay your dues or the toms will call and wail each night on the backyard wall. Mangle the flowers, and as for the lawn, a smelly minefield awaits you at dawn. These guys meant business without a doubt. 3 cans of tuna I handed them out. Then they disappeared like bats into hell. Those bad, bad cats from the CPL. I hope you like that. I really like a few of the poems that's in his book, because he sort of personifies cats as gangsters, and it just makes me smile, as I've got a cat of my own and she's a really scaredy cat, and I couldn't possibly imagine her being a part of a Mafia Cat, that's for sure. Anyway, the next one I'm going to look at, I did it last year in lockdown, but I didn't read it. I sent it to you to read as a family, to see who read it the best. And I'd like you to do the same again this time. I am going to read it to you this time. However, it is Mafia Cats, and I've just said about the Mafia. Well, in America, there was a lot of Italians moved to America, and they actually had their own Mafia kind of gangs. But obviously they were Italian Mafia, so they actually had all names like Italian names and liked Italian food. So I'm going to read this one to you, but I don't know what my Italian accent is like. So I'll have a go. Here we go. Right, Mafia Cats. We're the Mafia Cats, Bugsy, Franco and Tony. We're crazy for pizza with hot pepperoni. We run all the rackets from gambling to vice. On St. Valentine's Day, we massacre mice. We always wear shades to show that we are meanies, big hats and sharp suits and drive Lamborghinis. We're the Mafia Cats, Bugsy, Franco and Tony. Love Sicilian wine and cheese macaroni. But we have a secret, and if you dare tell, you'll end up with a kitten at the bottom of the well, or covered in concrete and thrown into the deep. For this is one secret you really must keep. We're the Costa Nostra, run the scams and the fiddles. But at home we are Mopsy, Ginger and Tiddles. Breathe one word and you'll cat me, okay? Okay, don't know if that was very Italian, but I'd like you to have a go at that yourselves at one of the other poems. It's all about reading poetry this week, so there's no kind of any written work. However, there's another one here. I'm not going to read it, but this is by Roger McGough as well, and it's Fur Exchange. He obviously likes cats, because the actual book is Bad, Bad Cats. It's a poetry book. As I say, I actually prefer the ones that rhyme, because they make it funnier, and especially if you have to speak with an accent. So, this one is Fur Exchange by Roger McGough, like I say. Have a read of it. See how you can read it. Watch for the question marks, because that's how you have to say it, like a question if it's got a question mark. And use your punctuation as to when to stop. I also found this one, which I really liked, and it's called the Crocodiles Toothache. And this is by someone called Sidney Sheldon. And his book is Where the Sidewalk Ends, and he's got some nice poems in there as well, but again I like it when it rhymes, so I've obviously picked a rhyming word, and this is as I said, the Crocodile's Toothache. by Sydney Sheldon. So this is it this week. You're going to read these poems, see how you can do it. If you want to have a look back at this one and change it into a food train, because that's what it sounds like, a food train. As like I say, the steam trains had a kind of real sound of their own. I still think the trains sound like this, but obviously they go past so much quicker. I don't know if we'd see a tramp who stands and gazes, it'd be whoosh, we're past, because they go so fast. But steam trains went a lot slower, but they still had that kind of sound. So have a look at that, and then I want you to have a look at this one. This one, read them, enjoy them, have a go, have the whole family get involved with this. You could maybe do a recording and send it to your nan and granddad or some relatives or whatever, see if they think you've done a good job with that. Fair Exchange is one, and the Crocodiles Toothache. So, reading the poems was great fun to do. They need reading again, so over to you. So have a go at reading the poems out loud, get the whole family involved. If you want to send in a recording of you reading a poem, we would love to hear them. Honest to goodness, really, I would love to hear them. The task for this lesson is just to read and enjoy poetry. So have fun and speak to you soon. Bye.